Welcome back to Small Biz Matters, everyone. We are here with Nikki White from My Wellness Business, and this is the second of a show all about the essential key elements to business growth. Now, I know what you're all thinking. We're all about specifics. We're all about giving you specific things to do each week here on Small Biz Matters, but I thought it was a good time after about a year and a half of being on the show to tie it all in, bring it all together and start looking at the bigger picture. And who better to help us out with that than Nikki White, who is a specialist in admin and business support, and you run your own business as well. So tell me a little bit about just quickly your experience and what it is that brings you to be an expert in your field.
Sure. I've been in small business for 10 years. I run a couple of businesses now that support wellness practitioners on the business side of their business. I run a mentoring program through My Wellness Business, and we run a networking group called Wellness Hubs Australia, which has got hubs all around 11 venues around Australia.
Wow.
Where we help wellness practitioners on the business side of their business. Prior to that, I ran a virtual assistant business where I had a team of 6 girls that were working for me, and we did people's admin remotely, if people don't know what a virtual assistant is. So lots of experience running businesses. I've seen lots of people try and fail, and, you know, it's so sad when they do. So it was just a matter of getting out there and helping as many people as I could.
Yeah, because, I mean, I think for you and I being administration experts, it's really, we find it innately obvious what it is that needs to be done to support your business so you can get on with doing what you do best.
Yes.
But a lot of people don't realise the importance of that. Leave it to the last minute, like we were talking about last week when we were talking about the fact that they leave their bookkeeping to the last minute, for example.
Yeah.
And not doing little bit by little bit. So last week we were talking about implementation and that process of taking all the knowledge that you have for, say, an educational seminar, for instance, and actually getting it out of your head, and also just all the accumulated knowledge and tasks and things that you want to do, getting them down on paper and implementing and getting the ball rolling with the implementation process. So today we're going to talk a little bit about working on it, not in it.
Yep.
Taking that plan, if you will, and starting to make sure that you've got the time management to implement those ideas that you've had.
Exactly.
So we've come back, we're sitting down, we're finally allocating some time to our admin business, and we've done what you suggested last week, which was a bit of a time management plan on a diary basis. Can you just take me through that process one more time?
So what we talked about last week is creating a default diary. So really so that you can understand, and it's best to create a default month, because there are things that you would only do once a month in your business.
True.
So if you were creating a default week, it gets a bit tricky. You'd probably have 4 different week defaults. So, you know, you would look at a full month and go, okay, so once a month I need to do this, or, you know, 3 times a month I need to do this, or whatever it is. So taking that time and thinking, well, I need to fit in my personal life, my clients, and working on my business, and how does that all sit, and how does it, you know, massage around. So really just taking a clean diary and putting in, first of all, your personal things, then your clients, and then your marketing and your finance and your admin and that, and just really scheduling it so that you can see that you have enough time to get everything done.
And you mentioned last week that sometimes half-hour blocks work for people, or maybe 2-hour blocks. If you're working on something quite intensive, you might grab 3 hours for a particular task.
And you don't have to block out in certain times either. You know, you could say, so every morning but for half an hour, I'm going to check my emails, and then I'm going to see clients for 3 hours, and then I'm going to have a lunch break. And that could be Monday, and then Tuesday, you know, it's half hour of morning in checking, and then I'm going to do marketing in the morning, and I'm not going to book clients in. So that kind of thing. So it doesn't have to all be in, you know, half-hour blocks or 2-hour blocks. You just massage it to make it fit. And everybody's schedule's different.
And be flexible.
Yeah,
don't think that just because you've missed a particular item on this schedule that it's going to all go out the window, for instance.
No, and really remembering that this is a default diary. I think that's really, really important to distinguish. If everything was going smoothly in your life, this is the default of how your life would run. Obviously, you know, there's chaos or last minute appointments, or the kids get sick, or you're sick, or whatever happens where you would shuffle stuff around. But having that default means that, okay, well, if I had 2 hours taken out of my day, which was devoted to marketing, where else can I put that? So I've got a month that, you know, and then my child got sick and I had to go to school and pick them up, and that cost me my 2 hours of marketing time. Where am I going to put that?
I like the idea that it's a month as well, because I can't imagine trying to find another 2 hours in a week.
No.
But you say to yourself, well, at some point during this month, I have to make up for that time, which I unfortunately lost.
Yeah.
That really allows for a lot of flexibility. And I like last week as well how you mentioned to start with the personal stuff.
Yes.
Because we always leave that till last.
Yeah, we don't value it. And really, at the end of the day, most of us are in small business for our lifestyle choices, and we find that our lifestyle goes out the window. That, you know, we actually look back at our full-time jobs in corporate or wherever we've been and gone, how great was that? I clocked off at 5 o'clock and I didn't have to think about it again until the next morning.
I know, isn't that ridiculous? You say, I actually long for those times where I didn't bring work home and I didn't have my brain full of all the things that I had to do the next day. I was at least disciplined enough to say, well, I'm not going to do them now. But then I think as you run a small business, not only are you thinking I could be doing this, but actually, oh my goodness, I have to do all these things tomorrow. So use the lists.
And the guilt comes in as well about doing personal things. So that's the beauty of the default diary, is that if you actually have everything scheduled and you know you're going to get everything done and you've got an hour yoga class on a Thursday morning, you can do that guilt-free.
Yes, without thinking of all the things that have to be done, because this is what I'm supposed to be doing now.
Exactly.
And one of the biggest revelations I had when I started my own business was I was battling to use every moment that I had for the business. And again, feeling bad that I didn't because I wasn't making the most of my time. As soon as I had the revelation that between 3 and 8 o'clock, I'm not getting anything done. Just accept it. That is kids' time. That is supporting the kids. That is running them around like mum's taxi, feeding them, getting them organised for bed. 3 till 8, forget it. That time is wiped out. And it was almost a weight off my shoulders that once I'd made that decision and came to the realisation that I went, well, I'm not going to get anything done. So stop even trying to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's better quality time for your kids, and you wouldn't have got anything that you got done in that time work-wise wouldn't have been 100% quality and would have been pointless anyway.
Exactly.
So it's not worth it.
Yeah. And so that comes back to the whole time management and finding the right time to do things. So how do you work backwards from that? Personal time's great because if you put that in first, then you know you've allocated that time and you're not going to eat into that personal time. But how does a business owner find the right time to do marketing, for instance?
Well, let's just take a step back and say, first of all, that when they're planning out their default month, that the working on their business is just as important as the working in it. So there is no point of when you're default diarying and looking at your month and chalking up every single day with clients and not leaving yourself any time to work on your business. Because then what's going to happen is you will find yourself up at 2 o'clock in the morning working on your business and having absolutely no lifestyle at all because you haven't allowed time for that. And I think that's one trap that small business people fall into. And we said right at the beginning of this series that we were going to talk about the things that people don't want to talk about, and this is definitely one of them. I think that people think, well, I have to always prioritise my client and I have to see them and, you know, I have to bring in the money, but they don't see the value in working on their business as also bringing in future income.
Yes.
So, for instance, let's take marketing. And if you think of, you know, one of those graphs that goes up and down like a snake, you know, big highs and big lows. If you think about that, that's how most people market. So they get some clients, they do some marketing, they get some clients, so they're going up the curve, they're right at the top, they've got heaps of clients, so they stop all their marketing, and then that drops off, and then their clients drop off because they're actually not marketing for the future. So somebody who's constantly working in their business and not on it is not preparing for the future. They're just thinking about the here and now. And then when they stop working on their business or stop marketing for the future, then those clients drop off and then they have a week of nothing. And then they go, oh my God, I have to market. So then they quickly do some marketing, get some more clients in.
But there's a lag. That's the problem.
Yes.
If you're doing the marketing only the time that you're in a down period and a down cycle, you will still have a lag of time where you're not earning. Now, if you're doing that cyclically,
yes.
If you're doing that, say, once a month, there's the normal uptake, lots of very, very busy with client work, not doing any marketing, then things to fall off. And that's not necessarily a reflection on you as a business. You're not losing clients, but it's the natural cycle of things. And you're not starting to work on the marketing until you've bottomed out again.
Yep.
Then you're not yet there's going to be a lag period as well. You're doing that every month.
Exactly.
You could be looking at not working for 1 week out of a month.
Yeah.
And that's 25% of your income gone.
Exactly. So it's really interesting that if people listening today can get that mindset to go, it is just important in my week to work on my business as to work in it for the future of my business, to be planning on it, and to just be stepping out of it. You know, so often when we work in our business, we don't see what's going on. Like I see people, and because I work with wellness owners, I went to this lady's wellness centre and she thought it looked amazing. But she was so used to seeing it every single day that she didn't put on her client glasses, I call them, and walk into her clinic and look at it as if she was a client for the very first time. And if she'd done that, and this is what I call working on your business. So taking a step out of it, taking a step out of the day-to-day doing and having a look at your business as a whole, as a big picture. And we can talk a bit more specifically about what that means. But if she just put on her client glasses and walked into her clinic and had a look, she would have seen that it was old, it was dirty, it was a bit messy, you know, the plants needed a water, that kind of thing. So as a client walking in for the first time, they're seeing a completely different picture to what she's seeing because she hasn't taken the time to step out and look at that bigger picture.
And I think, the way you work and what your clients see is actually a really important part of your marketing, isn't it? It's part of your personality and the way that you're presenting yourself, particularly if you're the only person that's part of that business. As a micro business owner, you're reflecting yourself in what people are seeing.
Yeah.
And that's working on your business. So
absolutely.
There's simple things that you can do too to tick those boxes.
Exactly. And then to go back to answer your question about when is the best time to work on your business, well, that's really going to depend on everybody's individual circumstances. But what it's really nice to look at if you're a business owner is when is your, most productive time and when's your kind of sluggish time, and then think about, well, what could I be doing? Like if the morning is my most productive time, would I be seeing clients in that, or would I be doing my marketing, or what would I be doing? Or maybe if the working on your business is doing something like writing a blog, or
posting on Facebook and doing a bit of research and finding an interesting thing for your clients to research
So
on.
just thinking about, well, what task is it and what time? So I actually have people that love doing Facebook, and they will schedule their posts at night time with their laptop on their lap when the kids are watching TV. Mum's still there, but she's doing her own thing, and she doesn't have to be that focused because she's just kind of sharing blog posts and scheduling Facebooks for the next month or whatever it is. So thinking about, well, what time of the day is actually making it easier for you to do that?
Yeah, and how much brain power do you need? Is it something that I can do while I'm doing something else or overseeing the kids' homework? Can I just quickly... Yeah, without eating too much into that family time thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be saying to everybody here, work with your laptop on your lap while the kids are watching TV, but just for some people that really works. So it's just, everybody is unique.
Yeah.
And it depends on how old your kids are, whether you are a mum, what kind of work your husband does, all that kind of stuff.
So to take a step back, we've got our 1 month calendar. We schedule in that personal stuff first, remembering that your wellness and your physical side of things is very important as a small business owner.
Absolutely.
So you schedule in that personal stuff and your family stuff first. Then you start considering where you're going to put the client work, where you're going to put the marketing, and where you're going to put the admin, for instance. And then remember, as we just said, think about what your most productive times of the day are and what are tasks that you can do while you're not so productive, maybe while you're, sluggish or doing a couple of other things at the same time, or it's happening at home as opposed to at work. But I think I really like your idea of having a full month there so you can look at the entire gamut of really looking at a whole month and a whole chunk of time, and then you can chunk things out a little bit.
Exactly.
So that's great. Well, we're going to take a break now on Small Biz Matters, and we're going to come back after the break and thinking about how you can, think about working on your business rather than in it, and what sort of documentation you should have in your business on a day-to-day basis.
And let's talk about also what working on your business actually is.
Yeah, big picture stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be back after this short break. Welcome back to Small Biz Matters. We are here with Nikki White talking about the bigger picture and in a series of key elements to business growth. So we're talking about big picture stuff. We're talking about working on your business, not in it. All the things that we've been strategies we've been trying to work on with Small Biz Matters over the last year, bringing it all together into a series of shows. So before the break, we were talking a little bit about scheduling, thinking about the best times to do things in that 1 month schedule, which we're trying to teach everyone about today. Now, let's look at what does it mean to be working on your business, not in it.
Okay, so working on your business is when you're going to take a step back and work on the stuff that's actually going to help your business function. So that could be administration, looking at your profit and losses, your finances, but it also is business planning. It's, planning for the future. What are your aims and goals? I see so many business owners that come into their business with no goal. So they're just spending every day working in it with no direction.
Running on the spot.
Yeah. And if you don't have something to aim for, then there's no forward momentum at all. There's no motivation for you to actually do that. So whilst I don't really encourage people to go and write the 10-page business plan.
I'm not a fan of business plans either. I think they're just too...
I don't like them either.
They get people in the wrong headspace, don't they? And then they don't... It's not goal setting.
No.
It's just, here's a plan, but I'm not actually going to plan to do anything with it.
Yeah, and that's why I just don't even use the word business plan, but I love goal setting. So, the very first thing that I do in my mentoring programs is make them set goals.
Do you do the 3 month, 6 month, 12 month
we do.
Time planning thing?
But we work backwards. So I say to people, where do you want to see yourself in 12 months' time? Because that's actually something that's achievable. This time next year, where do you see yourself? And then you can go, okay, well, I want to be seeing X number of clients or working X number of days or earning this much money, and then step it back into your 9, 6, 3s, so that gives you some kind of an aim or a gauge to work at.
Yeah, that's what you were saying last week when we were talking about, write a website or design a website. Yeah. That's not a task. That's a long-term goal.
Exactly.
And then you need to break it down into smaller goals.
Exactly.
So do the same with your goal setting.
Yes.
Break it into smaller steps.
Yeah. And also, learning what your values are. And we're going to talk about that later in this series as well. But because we're actually going to have a goal setting section, so we won't talk too much about it. But having that something to aim for is absolutely critical. So that's definitely working on your business. I also, the finances, and I know you as a bookkeeper, so many people, the first thing they do is outsource is their bookkeeping, and that's totally fine and that's absolutely great. But what I say to people is, you're the business owner.
Yeah, you still need to know what's going on.
You still need to know the numbers.
Exactly. And so many people, you do the bookkeeping work for them and then you present them with their reports and they go, what is this?
Yeah, they don't
I don't know, what
does
this mean? What is a P&L?
Yeah.
It's one of the sort of things you need to know where you're going, and to do the goal setting, you need to know financially where you will be in 12 months. How far have you been growing? Can you expect the same amount of growth? Do you want to increase the growth? Therefore, you need to have a marketing goal setting thing, and things that you want to achieve. That's very interesting. And I'm not a fan of being a bookkeeper. This is a really big thing to shoot myself in the foot with. I'm not a fan of people outsourcing their bookkeeping. There are great programs out there that you can use that make it really relatively simple. Sure, you need someone who knows what they're talking about to just glance over things and make sure you're being compliant with the ATO and meeting deadlines and paying what you need to pay. That's what a bookkeeper should be doing. They should not be doing data entry.
Yeah.
And there's programs out there now that make it easier.
There is no data entry, basically. If you're using something like Xero, it's all just feeding straight in, and you just done my bank rec for the week, and I'm done. And
do half an hour each week, which is what we mentioned before. Talking about some of the admin things that you need to be considering when it's talking about back end, getting templates in place is so important. So you're not rewriting and reinventing the wheel every time you do it. I encourage some of my business owners to have use the email signatures.
Yes.
So write out a template. Dear client, thank you for your interest in this product. Here's a little bit about the product. Here's a little bit about us so you can find out more information, or a website to go to. Can you imagine writing that down every time somebody makes an inquiry about one thing?
Yeah.
Every single time?
Every time I start a business or work with somebody, the first folder I set up is a standard emails folder. And every time I write an email that I think I'm going to use over and over again, it goes straight in there as a template.
And another good one to do is processes. So if you've thought long and hard about how I'm going to do this week, then just put it down into some bullet points and make it a process document, so that you go, in 6 months' time when I have to do that process again, I don't have to think about it again. Write the process down so you know what it is. And that takes us a little bit into operational procedures, which we won't go too much into.
No, but even just thinking about other things that are working on your business, blogging, marketing, Facebook post, updating your LinkedIn profile. I consider all that working on your business. Anything that is not client-facing work is working on your business.
Following up with networking evenings that you've been to, getting back to people, if you know that that's that 1 month plan again. If you know that you've got a couple of networking meetings of an evening, the following day schedule just half an hour to write to those people who are really interesting that you really want to connect with, and then maybe schedule in a coffee meeting or something.
Absolutely.
So I think that's why that plan needs to be flexible, because obviously you're going to have things happen and events that occur, and coming back to that as well. So marketing, finances, your admin, developing templates that are used again and again, all of that is working on your business, not in it.
Which is why it's so important. Like, imagine you cannot run a business without it. And I think that's the biggest thing, that people just think, well, a business is seeing clients. Actually, no, it is so much more than that. And it's actually a 50-50 equation. The working on your business is 50% and the working in your business is 50%. And the business owners that get that, they're the successful ones.
And the ones that have forethought planning and thinking about things in advance and always working to a 12-month goal and business growth.
Absolutely. And the other thing I'd like to talk about when we're talking about working on your business is actually educating yourself, which we kind of talked about in the first one of, like, when we talked about implementation. When you go and do a course, how do you implement that knowledge? But actually going and doing courses, like learning new business skills, or learning how to write a marketing plan, or whatever it is. So whatever skill you're lacking in your business, going and learning about that, or even if it's upskilling yourself in the service that you provide.
Or it could be just a matter of getting into a particular website and just educating yourself, reading the articles, learning how to use a piece of software as best as you can. There's a lot of really great networking groups out there as well. And of course, what we always try and encourage our listeners on Small Biz Matters is to find an industry-specific group, say on Facebook, and that is working on your business too. Jumping in there, seeing what suggestions for, hey, I found this great blog, hey, I found this great piece of information or a new product, check this out, a great way of working, and then go and investigate that. And that's also working on your business, educating yourself through others in your industry as well.
Because if you don't, you're not growing. So, and, look, at working in the wellness industry, I can see people who've been in that for 20 or 30 years and they actually haven't moved with the time. So suddenly now all their clients have dried up. So that, let's say that they've built a whole business on word of mouth referrals, because that's what they did 20 years ago.
And that worked 20 years ago.
Not
so much now.
And they've had this amazing business, and they're coming to me now going, what's happened? And I'm like, well, everybody's online. And if you're not online, then nobody's finding you, and you're not getting out there, and they're not even seeing you, and they're not knowing you. So these people haven't upskilled along the way. They haven't spent time working on their business and moving with the times. And that's so important as a business owner. You've got to keep half your mind focused of what's happening out there in the world and what do I need to be knowing about, because I need to move with the times. Being flexible as a business owner is so, so important.
And the risk of getting into a little bit of overwhelm there, if you're a business owner out there who's not particularly technically savvy, and that's not necessarily a downfall, because there are ways that you can support yourself. Go and investigate consultants that can help you. Because sitting down for an hour, spending time with someone who is helping you write your LinkedIn profile, it's done. Yes, you've forked out a bit of money, but it's done properly. It's done. You've not only learned something, but you've actually implemented something at the same time. So use the consultants around you and your network of people. And that's working on your business as well.
Exactly.
Using the network of people that you have.
I think the bottom line is, if you want to have a business, you want to be successful, you want to grow, you need to really understand that working on it is incredibly important. And I see so many people say, I can't because I have a client, and they're just not prioritising that working on their business. They're not getting out, they're not learning, they're not adapting, they're not moving forward. They're just stuck working with clients day in, day out. They're not moving forward.
No, and that's not growing your business. And relying on word of mouth it's archaic, and you will stagnate, and you will be a real victim of that bell curve.
Yeah.
Because the word of mouth thing works for a while, and then as things fall away, you're going to be stuck with a lag.
Well, word of mouth is actually a marketing tool. And if you know how to use it properly and actually, and again, that's working on your business, I actually use word of mouth as a strategy. So it's an actual referral strategy.
But it can't be the only one.
Marketing.
It can't be the only one. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But as one of the marketing strategies that you could implement. But again, that's working on it. So that's not just sitting there relying on people. That's actually going out and going, right, I'm going to work on my business and what's my referral strategy and how am I going to get that?
Yeah, could you have an incentive program for your existing clients? Could you encourage them? Could you say, well, it ties in with other marketing strategies like sharing with your clients, hey, I just did a blog, you want to share that with some people that you know, and positioning yourself as an expert. And it is bigger picture stuff, but at the risk of doing where will you be in 5 years, marketing, all that sort of stuff, come down to the nitty gritty. Have a ballpark plan and then come back to the specific processes that you do to implement those.
Yeah. And I just also like to make one more point, because we're talking about the things that people don't want to talk about, is working on your business as a priority in business hours. So I see so many people who
2 o'clock in the morning.
2 o'clock in the morning, but also who want to go and do a course after hours or at night time or on the weekend. Whereas I that's my personal time. That's my family time. I don't want to interrupt a Saturday by going and having to work on my business to do that. I want to actually go, I've got enough time and I'm I'm across my time and my time management enough to go, well, I can take half a day out to go and do that workshop, because it's incredibly important for me to move my business forward.
And it's part of my business and my business time.
Exactly. It's part of my business and it's my business time. And I think that's where people fall down, that the working on the business comes after hours at 2 o'clock in the morning, like you said, or we talked about doing stuff sitting in front of the TV. I personally don't do that because I really like to have my zones. And if I'm in TV time, I'm in TV time. But so many people do that. That working on their business comes second, and it's after hours, it's weekends, and that's when they get the burnout. And what kind of lifestyle is that?
Not the one you were aiming for when you went to start your own business. And you wouldn't expect an employer to treat you that way either. There's no way that you would allow someone to say, oh, can you just go to a seminar for 2 hours on a Saturday instead of doing what you normally do on the weekend because you work for me?
Yeah.
So why are you expecting that of yourself?
Exactly. Good point.
Okay, well, look, thanks for coming on the show again today, Nikki.
Very welcome.
We're going to talk next week a little bit about investment.
Yay.
That sounds interesting. I just went to dollar signs as soon as you said investment, but you're not talking about dollar signs, are you?
Well, no, we're talking about spending money on investing in themselves, because that's really important as well.
And that is working on yourself.
Yes.
Therefore, on your business.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, well, we'll see you all next week. Thanks for listening to the show. Once again, everyone, if you've missed the program, you can jump onto the Boyd Office Management Services blogs and podcast page and download. And you can go to the Small Biz Matters website, which has some great resources and information there as well. Plus, if you've got any questions for us, you can grab hold of us via the Mornings Facebook page for Triple H. Thanks for being on the show, Nikki. We'll see you next week.